In the 1930s, even under the shadow of the Great Depression, the U.S. sports industry endures. Baseball draws more than 7 million fans to stadiums each year. Boxing and horse racing dominate the airwaves with 70 million fans tuning in. But one sport has yet to catch on: auto racing.
Most kids growing up, they've got a stick and a ball, and they're dreaming of being Babe Ruth. None of these kids around America are dreaming of being an auto racer.
The only notable race is an annual spectacle in Indiana, the Indy 500.
But the Indy 500 is an elegant, elite race that's mainly for the upper crust. It's expensive to get into because drivers need money for these custom-built high-end race cars. And it's pricey to attend.
It's really just a small subset of wealthy auto racers taking their expensive pieces of equipment out once a year, but that's the end of it.
Motor car racing is just too elite to really capture the attention of a broad American public.
But on the back roads of the South, a new type of racing is taking root, with drivers who are anything but sportsmen.
It's kind of like outlaw racing that grows out of the moonshiner culture.
Moonshiners would build up their cars faster so that if the police tried to catch them, they could ultimately outrun them. It was a bunch of those guys sitting around when they weren't running alcohol who said, maybe we should start racing these moonshine cars against each other. But at best, it was like a Sunday fairground activity sort of thing where you pay, you know, a couple pennies to come watch.
And no one has figured out how to turn these outlaw tournaments into something more. But a coastal town decides to give it a shot.
Daytona Beach holds the first official event for this new breed of racing emerging in the South, a contest for stock cars.
The race doesn't just draw in moonshiners, but a whole host of down-on-their-luck everyday men.
Heard this race is paying real money. I could use it.
And a recent transplant to the Sunshine State thinks he has what it takes to win.
He grew up knowing cars. Supposedly he could rebuild a carburetor before he was 12. No nonsense, car-loving dude.
Name?
France. Bill France.
France was working as an auto mechanic in DC when the Depression hit. And he ultimately moves his family to Florida looking for more opportunities.
He enters the race because first prize is $1,500, which is more than a year's wages for most hardworking men.
He doesn't know it yet, but this auto mechanic is going to write a new future for auto racing, dragging it from dusty back roads onto the national stage, pioneering innovations that will lay the foundation for one of the biggest sports in America, with events that draw 6 times the attendance of the Super Bowl, and creating an empire worth $3 billion.
While France doesn't come first, he miraculously finishes 5th, which is enough for a several $100 payout.
Here to collect my winnings.
I got bad news. There isn't any.
You gotta be kidding me.
They aren't making any money because everyone is able to watch the race without even paying.
Tell me about it. I didn't get paid either. They actually lose $20,000, about $500,000 today. So it just sucks the whole life out of this event.
It's really frustrating because it's just been so poorly organized. There's really no infrastructure here.
And a light bulb goes off in Bill France's mind. He realizes that thousands of people came out for this. There's serious money to be made here, but it just has to be done in an organized, proper way. So even though he's just a mechanic, France decides he could put on a better race than this, and that's what he's gonna do, no matter what.
But France has no idea. He's about to face competition from the biggest name in American auto racing.
For decades, there's really been only one body presiding over the sort of premier motor races in the country at venues in the Midwest and the Northeast, at races like the Indianapolis 500. And now they want to put elite level, champion level racing in front of everyday Americans in the South, right? Well, Bill France and his racing circuit have already been thriving. And who is the governing body on these races? The one, the only, AAA. Yes, that AAA. Bill France decides on a very unexpected and ballsy pivot. He decides to reach out to the competition to put out a call to all the other stock car promoters so that they can create a collective that could take on something with as much strength as the American Automotive Association.
National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing.
NASCAR.
The key word is national. Bill France, he's letting everyone know, like, we're taking over America, and no one can stop him.
Soon, dozens of brands are clamoring to become NASCAR sponsors.
You've got brands like STP and all these brands plastering their name on these cars. And it really shaped the way we see NASCAR today. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar brand.
As sponsors pour millions into NASCAR, by 1978, attendance skyrockets by 75%. But though they are now a money-making machine, NASCAR still trails behind major sports leagues, and France is determined to be on the same playing field.
Bill France puts his son, Bill Jr., in charge, and he tasks him with one major goal: live, televised races.
Our studies show a rise in demand.
In 1/3 of the country, maybe.
But with CBS's help, we can change that.
Bill France Jr. has to beg CBS to air the Daytona 500. And the only reason he was able to get them to do that is because, well, the Daytona 500 ran when baseball was off and football was off, and there was really nothing else going on.
The white flag is out. 1 lap to go.
The race itself is freaking awesome. 3.5 hours of these cars colliding into each other and wheeling around the track. And then, in the final lap, 2 cars are hurtling towards the checkered flag, and
He slides! Donnie Allison slides!
Donnie Allison, Cale Yarborough, they careen into each other right before the finish line.
Well, Richard Petty in third cruises to win the Daytona 500. And you would think that's the big story. This is amazing, but oh no.
There's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
The 2 racers get out. They start getting into this massive fist fight right there on the track.
They are throwing down. And this is all happening in front of a live audience on television. That should not be happening.
Did the fight cloud their opinions of NASCAR? All they can do is wait for CBS to give them the final results. They have no idea how many people tuned in. Did they see the end of the race?
Hello. Yes, I apologize for the fight. That doesn't usually happen. Really? You're kidding me. Okay. Well, they're flying here to negotiate a partnership.
As it turns out, this massive blizzard dumped pounds and pounds of snow all over the Northeast. That meant millions of people were stuck at home on a Sunday afternoon.
This was the perfect setting for NASCAR to take off. They had a captive audience.
16 million people tuned in. It's one of the largest viewing audiences that CBS Sports has ever received for a daytime broadcast.
It gives viewers everything they wanted. It gives them that exciting last-second finish. It gives them the conflict and the turmoil and the battling.
This is reality TV NASCAR style. And America's hooked. They cannot keep their eyes off of it.
The irony was Bill France Jr. was so worried that this would be the end of television and NASCAR together, and really this moment propelled NASCAR to the greatest heights it had ever seen.